Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. This is not a process video, it's a flip through and it's a traveler's notebook flip through and it's a little bit different. Normally I only feature travel, but I'm doing something a little special here. I keep a TN about the books I read. This one is already finished. This one I am 2 books away from finishing this one. So I figured I'll do a flip through of the one that's already done. When I get this other one completed, I'll do a flip through of that as well, because I know a lot of people have expressed interest in different groups that I belong to about tracking what we read. And so I thought, all right, well, I'll start including that. So here's my cover. It says, I'd rather be reading. I actually found this image through the Project Life app. I can't remember which kit it's from, but that is where I found it. All right, so let's take a look here on the inside. So most of my layouts are 2 pages because I like to do some writing about the book and I try to do the rating on a lot of them, and then the rest I leave for journaling. So you'll see most of them are 2-pagers. There are a couple 1-pagers, but most of them are 2-pagers. This was an excellent book. It was a little weird, but it was good. And then this one, if you have any interest in British history, this is for you. This is about one of the wives of King Henry VIII. So if you're into that kind of stuff, this is for you. And this one you can see that I kind of just dealt with a white background. Sometimes I do that if I don't have matching paper or I wasn't that crazy about the book and I don't want to waste the paper. This one was okay. I gave it 3 stars. So it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't fantastic. And then interestingly, this one, I hated this book. Did not enjoy it at all. See, gave it 1 star. But I had a lot to say about why I didn't like it. So it got full journaling here. And then this one, because the book was the Goldfinch, I wanted to have a gold theme. So you can see I have very sparkly washi here. And I enjoyed the book. I got lots of journaling. And here's another one. Now, I liked this book, but I didn't have anything to match, so that's why I had mostly a white background there. But again, quite a bit of journaling. And this is an example of where I didn't finish the book. Started it, just couldn't really get into it. Normally this would be my thing. I would like it, but it was just the way that it was written, I think. I just couldn't keep with it, so I abandoned that one, but I still wanted to scrap about the experience. So this, I want to recommend this. If you have any interest in war history, you will like this book. Highly recommend it. And as you can see, I had tons and tons to say about it. And this one was, I read it because my art museum here, the Minneapolis Institute of Arts, which is MIA for short, they do book tours. So you read a book and then you go around with a docent and they pick out art pieces that somehow relate to the book and you discuss them on their own, in relation to the book, both, whatever. I love doing their tours. So this was one of them. And I enjoyed the book and the tour. And this was another one. I think they were back to back or pretty close in months. So I did both of those. And this one is about the history of Hawaii. So if you aren't familiar with how Hawaii became part of the United States, this is an excellent book to read. And here I wanted to have it kind of blingy because this is more again about kings and queens and that kind of thing. And so I wanted to make sure that it reflected that, but I still kept it pretty simple. And this one's an example of, I didn't like the book, but I made the design work. I created kind of a mini pagoda here with my washi, and I still decorated it in a fun style, even though the book was not my fave. So I'm gonna put this down. I think it's tiring kind of holding that. So this was a book about Monet. So I wanted to do quite a bit of journaling because I enjoyed it, and I went a little crazy with, this is a 4x6 pocket card, but I just made it overlap the 2 pages. And this one I liked because it's a book about a font. Somebody designs a font, and there's a whole story that goes into it, though, with World War II history and lots of things happening. And I thought this paper was perfect for a book about a font. And then I read Wonder because one of my sons read it at school and said, Mom, this book was fantastic. You have to read it and then we have to see the movie. So I read it, loved it, cried my eyes out. Went to the movie, loved it, cried my eyes out. Yes, so that had to be in here. And this was a book club selection. I used to be in a book club, and that was one thing that we read, and I had a lot to say about that as well. I thought that paper matched nicely. And then this is the second in the series. I didn't like this one as well. It was still good, but I didn't like it as well. So again, I didn't have anything that super matched this blue that was kind of a scrap, so I just used some book themed paper. And this one, let me hold that up. 84 Charing Cross Road. This is a teeny tiny book. You could read it in a day. It's super thin, but it was so engaging. It's letters back and forth between people, and I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to give it its due. And this is another World War II based books. I've read a lot of World War II related books, like in the past 2 years. I don't know what my problem is. So this is another one, and it was very good. And again, I wanted to give it some nice reading themed options to go with it. And here's another one where I hated the book. I did not like this book at all, but I at least journaled about it, about my feelings about it, made it somewhat cute, and decided to move on. Now here's an example where these are 2 one-pagers, and that's because I didn't know exactly what to make of this book. I didn't dislike it necessarily, I just didn't know what to make of it, what I was supposed to get from it. And then on this one, I hated this book, absolutely hated it. So much so that I don't think I'll ever read anything else by this author. And that's rare that I would ever say that, but that's the case with this one. This one was also a book club selection, and it was all right. I gave it 5 stars because it's travel related. That's why I loved it, because they're traveling down the Nile, and it's historical fiction, so some of the accounts are real in terms of what they see, but the characters are people that we know, Florence Nightingale being one of them. And so I found that aspect fascinating. Like, what if these people actually had met while traveling the Nile? So I did give it 5 stars for that. The rest of the people in my book club were not that impressed, but I liked it. And then I reread Lord of the Flies because, again, one of my sons was reading it at school, and I wanted to be able to discuss it with him, and I needed a refresher, so I reread it. And I thought these colors on this paper were perfect for the cover of the book. And then this one, again, the cover of this was stunning, and I wanted to really show that in how I designed, so I made sure that I had paper that matched and washi, and then I had lots to say about it. This is another one we read for book club. Did not care for it. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I love Lord of the Rings. I'm a nerd, I admit it. But this book did not do it for me. Did not care for it at all. Notice I stamped hot mess. That's what I thought of it. And then here we are on the last one. And actually, there was another page here, but then I would have had to use the back cover, so I just glued that down, so that I would just have a double page layout last that was actually a page, and left it at that. So that's a trick you can use if you want. And then this was the last book I read. I also quite enjoyed this one. I had lots to say about it, and I loved that for this paper I had enough where I could do almost the entire page on the left side and still have a strip on the right side. And I love the colors. I think they work very well with this. And it's based in Greece, and so I just thought these colors, that scheme, worked well for the theme of the book. So that's my first TN about the books I read. I hope you'll join me when I finish the next one and I showcase that. Thanks for watching.